I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and this is the third episode of Carcassonne with viewers. Basically, what we're gonna do today is gonna play some games. I'm just gonna try to alternate AZUL and Carcassonne. Maybe try to do a bit more AZUL today, since my previous live stream was devoted to Carcassonne only. And as usual, I'll be just starting playing against a random opponent, and then later on, y'all can send me a challenge either on Board Game Arena directly or just make your screen name known in the live stream chat. So, I'm gonna start with AZUL actually. Also, as you might see, I'm experiencing a bit of a downswing in Carcassonne. So if you want to grab some fresh rating points of me, that's definitely an opportunity. I do feel like I'm not in so bad a shape of AZUL. The streamers match that recently happened against Kryptonite went pretty okay. So, unless you've watched it already, go watch it after this one. Now, we get paired up with an expert opponent. They get the only tile group of 3 in the first round. There's still 4 yellows remaining, 3 whites, 4 blacks, 2 blues, 4 reds. So what are we going to do with this information? I am inclined to grab this here tile for the starting player tile. Let me think about this, because everything else seems to be not that great. Like, for example, if I take these or these, I allow my opponents to take 2 reds for their row 2, and that's not great. I don't want to do that. What else? Yeah, there's really not that much to think about, actually. Hi, Devaka. So what I'm gonna do? Oh yeah, I guess there is something to think. I could take these 2 golds, but then do I really need the golds that badly? Well, golds are actually a way for me to try and fill my row 3. Yeah, this actually might be not the worst idea in the world. And then, yeah, our opponent can do this and that's fine. Oh, I guess we will be giving them away. I guess we'll be giving them the reds, right? But that's fine. They can have their reds. Because I should be getting some reds out of this as well. Let's try do something like this. Yeah, I'm a tad behind. Just a tad. Well, actually, I'm not even that far behind. I'm only going to be behind 1 productively placed tile, alright? Now it's also a question, do I want to take the 1 gold and disrupt my synergy? Or do I want to take 2 reds? So basically, I can fill this here with reds and blacks. That would be kind of the normal way of going this. Or I could go for 1 yellow and 2 blacks, which is a bit of an awkward way of doing this. But then that makes sure that the development of my columns is more synergistic. Actually, I'm going to try and do this just to make my opponent discard a little bit more. Because one thing that I learned from Genki videos is that it's never too early to build up a points lead. And we do have a 1-point lead in the first round, so that's not the worst position to be in. Hi, Joaquin. Thank you so much for the kind words. Yes, I do have some speedrun footage which I have recorded, but I'm still yet to edit. I definitely want to get that out during the summer. Okay, so my opponent understandably takes the blues. And I don't really think we have... Actually, no, we do have a bit of a choice here. We can take one red. Oh, we have actually quite a bit of a choice. We can take one red, or we can try and take two red. We can try and make them group. But I think I'm just going to do this, because we're competing on the whites quite severely. And should I take the reds now? Actually, I don't think I should take the reds now. They shouldn't really be a priority. I think I'd rather take these here, tiles, and then try to sneak in some advancement to row 3. In fact, I might do it like right now. Is it wise? It might be. Let's try it. Okay, that is definitely a mistake. These blues belong, I'm not sure where exactly, but somewhere else. Probably in row 3. Ah, now I also see the idea of my opponent. If I grab the reds now, then I'm gonna lose a bit of something. So I can't really grab the reds. I can take one black, perhaps? Yeah. Let's just try and stall him a little bit. And if my opponent goes for the standard tactic, I'm sort of stealing their whites a little bit. But I will be completing my columns in rather an awkward fashion. Okay. This is actually not bad. So first of all, I can just go for the standard tactic. But if I do that, it does not help me that much. So if I go for the standard tactic, this black goes here. Then they just take the reds, and I'm sort of forced to take the two yellows to make my row happen. I'd rather just do something like this and try to build more synergistically. I will be discarding 2 golds if they play this correctly. Yeah, they do play this correctly. So, what do I take now? Do I take a black? No, I have to take a white, actually. And we end up discarding the same number of tiles. I've chosen a rather awkward setup, but it's working so far. The discarded tiles, by the way, are 2 reds, 3 golds, 1 blue, and 1 black. So no whites have been discarded so far. Decent run out. They're running short on whites, which is great news. The not so great news is that actually I don't have a reliable way to make them pay for the whites. Or to take whites away, I will have to just throw something in my floor line, which I'm not keen on doing. The other problem that I have is that there are a bit too many yellows. Well, actually, it's not such a big problem. I take 2, my opponent takes 2, and that's about it. So I might want to just do something like this. Allow my opponent to take this. Yeah, whatevs. And then I'm kind of forced to do something like this, I guess. Yeah. Then I can do this, which is actually not ideal. Oh, maybe that's actually not that bad. Okay, let's think. Think. Yeah, let's do this. Let's stall. Maybe let's not stall. Let's do this, actually. And now we should be saddling my opponent with something. Yeah, so they're definitely not completing all their objectives for the round. I guess I should do this, even though this is not really the tile group that I want in my row 1. It's not the tile group at all. But if I don't put it in my row 1, then my opponent has a combo how they get to fill both of their rows 1 and 2. Wait, or do they? Yeah, they do. You see, if I don't put it on row 1 right now, then I will be forced to use... Then my opponent's going to take the blues away from me. And then I'll have to use the blacks for row 1. And then my opponent's going to have the golds for row 2. But I really want to saddle my opponent with the blacks because they have nowhere productive to place the black tiles. And I'm just going to use my row 4 for defense and let my opponent discard a little bit. So this should really pose some serious problems for my opponent. I am building up my column a little bit inefficiently, but as you can see, as a result, we do have a 9-point lead as a result of the discards that my opponent had. And despite their wonderful draw that they are having, and I believe it is indeed the correct way for them to deal with this, I think I should be significantly ahead here. So what are my options? My first instinct is to just take the starting player token, and I might just end up doing it just for better control. One thing to watch out for is the second column threat from my opponent. They might also discard 2 blues. Yeah, but another thing that they need to worry about, by the way, is me just getting a lot of blacks. Let's see if we can try to do something like this, maybe? Kind of force them into discarding something? Okay. So they have no concern about whatsoever. Alright, yeah, I understand what they're trying to do. I completely understand what they're trying to do. Note that I won't be able to complete my color on the blues. Sorry, not on the blues, but on the golds. Because there are a few golds already discarded. And my opponent has already 5 golds on their board. Due to the starting player token, I will have control of the events in the final round. Oh, that's interesting. So they chose to discard... So they chose to discard the blues, which makes me think I should take the blacks. But then it's not obvious how much I really need those blacks. I'd rather take them. Let me think about this. So if I take the blacks, it is +2. And then if they take the blacks, it is +0 for them, but they get to free up the row 4. Yeah, you see, if I take the reds, then they end up taking the blacks. And then they can put something in the row 1 regardless. Now they should take 1 red. I'll end up discarding a little bit. Oh, they should definitely take 1 red for the bottom row. Hi, Sunny. Alrighty, yeah, we can definitely put you for an AZUL game. And also an instructive moment, we definitely do not want to clog up our row 5 with the gold, because there are not going to be enough of those golds around. So we take some damage in the floor line. We still had 6 points. We still have the starting player advantage, and I think we should be winning this pretty easily. Just need to... Wait, actually it's not that easy. So I guess if I just take the blacks, that should solve most of my problems, am I right? Because I'll just be denying the second column to my opponent. It might also be wise to just allow them that column. And there's a way how I can just build column 5. That would also be quite fun. Not column 4, but column 5 with 2 reds and 5 blues. Yeah. A lot to think about. I do think I need to be doing something with this. And I think this goes here. I have no reason to discard anything, really. If my opponent takes the 2 blues... No, so if my opponent takes the 3 blues, I can take 2 reds from my row 3. And I should be having enough to fill in my rows 1 and 2 as well. Yeah, I think this is how it works. I think I need to do this first. Yeah, my opponent is doing this correctly. And I think I need to do this now. And my opponent makes, I think, a bit of a mistake. It's not a bad move. Well, actually, wait a second. Can I deny them something? Yeah, so there's no point in me denying them reds because reds score them exactly 0 points. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what they take. So kind of a simple game this time. We also didn't need to tile track that hard. Yeah, so our extravagant setup worked a little bit, and I think the main thing that worked a bit is just our opponent had too much stuff on their floor line, and we sort of started pressing on their floor line a little bit earlier. Now later when I caught up with the floor line by discarding multiple blacks in round 4, it was kind of just a little bit too late. So, +6, what are the stats? Yeah, a lot on completed tiles, interesting. Oh yeah, there was this one round where our opponent lost row 1 or row 2, which I think they could have avoided a little bit earlier. And then this here hole ended up costing them a lot. Alrighty, so that's nice to start the stream with a win. Let's now go on to games with viewers. So Sunny was first. Yeah, feel free to suggest either Carcassonne or AZUL, preferably in alternating order. But I'm not fussy about the order. I'll just take the challenges in the order they come. Oh yeah, I am streaming this with like 1 minute delay or something, if I'm not mistaken. Well, this is because of the Carcassonne part of the stream. Because unlike Carcassonne, all the tiles in the AZUL are open, but in Carcassonne you do not get to see the tile that your opponent is contemplating before their move. Hence the delay. Alrighty, there we go. Hopefully I've also warmed up a little bit with my commentary, because I haven't spoken for a week. And now I just feel that everything that I say needs a couple of seconds of extra processing. Oh, great, we're the starting player. 6 blacks, 4 blues, 2 whites only. Only 2 whites, isn't that interesting? 4 blues, 4 golds. This does look like a pretty standard move. I will be taking 2 blacks and threatening my row 4. And I'm not sure which way is best. It shouldn't really matter that much. Maybe, wait. So the asymmetry here is in whose interest is it to get the blue in the center? Because I feel that either of us will be trying to complete a row 3 with blues. In this run out, the main bottleneck is row 3. There is no good tile group to get you on row 3. Because 2 red are going on my row 5 regardless. At least 3 blacks are going on my row 4 regardless. And then, what do we have for our row 3 as options? We have blues. And we have gold. Gold are really not that great. So if I get the blues early in the center, it sort of disrupts the idea of 3 blues actually. Because you see, if I get 1 blue in the center, like this, then sooner I can get another blue in the center and to create this group of 2 blues. And I think it actually benefits a bit more, it benefits me more than it does benefit my opponent, because there are some scenarios where I get to complete 3 of my rows, so namely rows 1, 2, 4, and my opponent only gets to complete 2 on this round. I do think this one's slightly more precise. Ah, isn't that interesting? So my opponent just takes these here blues regardless, and leaving me with an interesting choice. So I can just take the blacks and continue my row 4 in which case Sunny gets his row 3. I mean, he's probably getting his row 3 regardless, right? Yeah, I think I can safely do this. If he takes my blacks, it's fine. It's completely fine because I'll be able to do something nasty regardless. So I can take this here black, and this is the reason. This is the reason why I wanted to get that blue earlier on the board. Early in the center rather, so that I can threaten my row 3s, and that's at least something. It's not nothing. And I can also threaten my row 4 at the same time. Then I wonder, is it even worth threatening my row 3 or not? Actually, the answer might be even no. Yeah, I think it's not. Wait, well, let me try and calculate this. So if I place this on row 3, do I ever miss out on one of my top rows? And the answer might be yes. If I place it on row 3, my opponent takes the blues. I take 1 black to complete. No. It actually doesn't make sense. One thing that I might have overlooked is the idea of my opponent grouping 4 golds together and trying to complete row 4 like this, but it does not appear to be worth it for them. Yeah, here's the thing. Now, they're going to take 2 blues probably, in which case I can sort of clean up with 3 blues, or with 3 gold, and get that 1 point. And then we still both have options for a row 1 or row 2. Now, if Sunny takes blues for his row 2, which I believe is the stronger move, then we have a bit of a problem. Yeah, I actually believe the move for Sunny is to take the blues in row 2 rather than row 3. Because it takes care of his row 2, and I need to hustle for my row 2 myself. My black on row 1 might have been a bit premature, because it's nice to have the threat of the completion of row 4, but I do think it all works out in the end. So I'm going to be ending this with a slight advantage, although Sunny did a great job snatching the blues, having himself the better center tile. But I'll still be the starting player. I can still dominate my opponent on some key colors at the bottom, like I'll be taking away the whites for row 3, I'll be taking away the blacks for row 4, all tiles which my opponent needs for his middle column as well. Now there's also this interesting line where Sunny does take the 2 blues for his row 3. Then I take 3 golds for my row 3. Then Sunny, I guess, goes for the standard tactic. And I end up discarding 1 gold. Something like this. But then I also get a more favorable color on my row 2. Yeah, probably get reds in my row 2 and my opponent gets whites. But then if that happens, is that really that bad? Yeah, so Sunny does this. I knew he'd do it. So you see, now I can't really take golds on my row 3 because then I'll be losing my row 2. And there's no world in which that is okay. I could consider taking 3 golds on row 2. That would be interesting. So do I want to have a clean board or not? I know that Genki prioritizes the clean board a lot. So by clean board, I mean this. I'm going to have my row 3 completely empty. And then I'm going to just progress on my row 4 a little bit. The alternative is so basically I'm just thinking between 2 moves. One is grabbing the black, which would make sure that my opponent takes 2 tile groups, probably 4 gold for the row 4, and then a bit of something at the top. Or if I take the golds now, then my opponent's going to take something like 1 white, something like super nasty. But maybe it's okay if I take the 1 white. Yeah, you know what, I'm thinking this. I'd rather not allow my opponents a board which is too clean. Yeah. This is exactly what I thought they should do. Now also another decision. Do I take 1 white or do I take 1 black? Because the advantage of 1 white is that I really start clogging up my row 3, but I also clog up their row 4, indeed. And that's very aggressive. Actually, if I take 1 white, the chances that they're completing their row 4 is so low because they would require a run out with 5 whites to do that. The problem is that they might have just that run out. So if I take the blacks, it's of course, you know what, let's try this. I think it's pretty interesting. Let's try clog everything up. I know I could take the blacks, but I do like is grabbing the element that my opponent needs. And there's a lot of symmetry in this position. I cannot possibly imagine why my opponent would not take the blacks here. Do they really think I'm not going to take the 2 reds? Okay, so the run out which I'm a bit afraid of is that we might have just a bit too many whites. And then my idea of clogging up my opponent's row might backfire, but it is the perfect run out, the exact run out we were hoping for. And look, it makes such a big difference. This 1 white will make sure that I can complete this with 1 move, and the fact that my opponent has this 1 white on row 4 instead of 2 also makes a huge difference, because now we make the obvious move, and we don't need to bother about row 3 again, whereas my opponent's row 4 is disrupted. And they still need to work a little bit to protect against my row 4. Oh, I guess it's all the same then. Okay, very interesting. So my opponent takes the blues and the starting player token. I am going to complete my row 5. Well, actually, should I really do this? I think I should. Even though it's a bit inefficient, I do like the idea that I might be threatening row 4 after this. But it also might be not such a bad idea to just place the red on row 1. But I'd rather keep row 1 flexible, because a white also goes well on row 1 as well. The one downside about that move is that I actually want to start putting all the golds together. In fact, really, the main purpose of this round should be just not getting stuck with golds. But the idea of getting this black earlier in the center is there might be a forcing sequence. So for example, if I take one white from the left plate and do something like this, it will force my opponent to take the blacks, and then I might be able to group all 6 golds together, which my opponent needs here. Ideally, though, I want to fill in row 1 with a red, row 2 with 2 blues, which my opponent is trying quite actively to disrupt. Okay, perfect. I think I have my sequence. I'm actually going to allow my opponent to complete row 5. Wait, no. I shouldn't be doing this, right? Wait, that would be a horrible idea. That would be a pretty horrible idea. Huh. Because if they complete row 5... If they complete row 5, then actually I'm going to end up discarding 4 golds. So we can try and threaten this maybe one move later or something. Does it ever make sense to try not use red for row 1? Because the red is also my alternative for row 2. Okay, so if I take a white from the center, my opponent just gonna take 1 black or something. Okay, let's try. Let's make a committal move. Now, if we take 1 black, then my opponent is going to take 1 blue and destroy me. So that's why we're not gonna do that. Yes. Well, actually, my opponent can take 2 golds. And this is probably the best move for them. But then we end up splitting the difference in discards. Oh, same idea, huh? Yeah, because again, I can't take the 1 black, right? I can't take the 1 black. Because then I just lose too much. What if I take the 1 red? No, it doesn't really do much. So I think I actually need to take 2 golds, as weird as it is. And then it should go something like... then I take away the red, of course. Yeah, like this. I don't know. And actually, this one didn't really work as well for me as I anticipated. And I'm still behind a little bit after this round. Maybe I should have just allowed myself to discard more. Because even though the point of letting my opponent complete his row 5 is that it would be building up inefficiently, but there's a lot of value. Actually, there was a lot of value in keeping his row 5 clogged. Because look at all these blues. I could have made him discard so much. Yeah, maybe I think it was a missed opportunity on my part. Now, an important thing that I have to do here, I definitely need to use 1 white for row 2. It's a great run out in that sense. I need to use 2 reds for row... No, so I need to use 1 white for row 1, 2 reds for row 2, 2 blacks for row 4, and possibly 3 blues. Yeah, and I guess 3 blues for row 3. So I can complete these objectives with just 4 moves. The thing that I gotta do with the blacks... like this, huh? Very interesting. Okay, so my opponent is going to try and build up his row 5, which honestly might be a smart idea. Yeah. So do I take the starting player token, or do I actually relinquish it this time? Maybe giving it away is not so bad. Yeah, let's give it away this time. No. Change my mind. I do feel that there's going to be some control in the game that I can enjoy. But yeah, there's the problem. My opponent can just take 1 white. This is what I didn't want to happen. He can force so much on me. And then I might have to settle for 2 blacks instead of 2 reds in my row 2. Yeah, I really don't like 1 tile moves, even if it means taking the starting player token. Maybe just separating the whites was the better choice there. Yeah, I was a bit concerned about my opponent disrupting row 4, but one thing that I failed to see is that that disrupting row 4 would be quite costly from their perspective. Okay, now they make a move, which I believe is not entirely correct. I think they really should have led with the whites. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah. Actually, I think I messed this up again. No, yeah, he's just 1 step ahead of me as always. So now, I guess he can break my row 2 by taking away 4 reds. But if that happens, there's going to be some negative consequences for my opponent, so I don't think they should actually do that. Yeah, anyway, I got played this round. I'll be just discarding too much for the reds. Oh, man. Yeah, this move I don't believe is actually correct. Because even though I will be losing my row 2, I will be getting a lot of compensation for this just by doing something simple like this. then first of all, if my opponent want to take the blacks away from me, they can be my guest. And they actually have to do this to complete the row 1. But then I take the 3 blues for row 3, which are pretty good in terms of scoring. Now, I will be giving away my bonuses for the second row, but also it helps that my opponent's bottom row is now clogged. And they're vulnerable to red draws. And just as I was saying this, we have a run out where there's not a single red in sight, but having the starting player token proves to be useful once again, as we can start abusing those whites. I think this move is pretty straightforward. Actually, you know what? I can get myself a second column. And if Sunny wants to do something about this, I will get the starting player tile. Hey, this is pretty interesting. Now I need to be tracking tiles, and I'm not so good at it. Okay, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. And there were, I think, around 3 blacks discarded. So there should still be like a couple. But you see, I don't remember exactly how many blacks were discarded. And this is how Board Game Arena differs from live play. Because in a tournament, I would be able to have that information just by simply looking in the box. But I might not need a second column to prevail. Because just as I was complaining that there are no reds, it's actually a good thing, because my opponent does not have the most efficient color option available, and he kind of needs whites in a lot of different places. And I can still use whites for my row 2. I can still use whites for my row 4. If my opponent is not careful, I actually get to threaten a complete color, because not so many whites were discarded. Yeah, how interesting. Will you look at that? And so now, again, I kind of need to make a choice. Ah, but then the question is now on me. Do I take the starting player tile? And I really want to. But if I take the starting player tile, my opponent might start taking away whites from me. But then, do I actually care about it that much? Because I don't really need my row 2. I can still use gold for row 3. Huh. And also, like, I don't have to take the starting player tile immediately either. I actually might want to do something bad to my opponent. Maybe start grouping all the blues for him. I could just take 1 gold from the top. That would be an interesting way of dealing with things. You know what? I'm just going to make the natural move. And see if my opponent wants to mess with my whites, he can. Oh, this cannot possibly be correct. This cannot possibly be correct. Why would you do that? Because you know I'm not going to prioritize my row 2. Instead, I'm going to group all the blues together. Yeah, that's why he's thinking about this. Again, it's possible that he's like 1 step ahead of me. Ah, he's changing his mind. He's changing his mind. No. Maybe I should make a greater delay in the stream than just 1 minute. Maybe Sunny knows something that I don't, but it's a pretty easy choice for me. Yeah. Okay. I see the idea here, right? Sunny wants to have himself a full row 3. And I can respect that. And if I give him row 3, he'll end up discarding just a little bit. I mean, he's also gonna keep his row 5 clogged, but it's just not such a big deal, right? I'm trying to remember, is there a complete color bonus in the cards? There might not be. What about the column? Are there 3 more blacks remaining or not? This is super important. 6, 11, 12, 13, 15. There might be. I do remember discarding a line of blacks. No, but that was in the first game. Actually, I don't think we discarded that many blacks. So, I know that I'm not giving Sunny row 3. I know that it's okay to do this. And then if he wants to deny me row 3, then I'm just going to get myself a little bit of something on row 2. And I think what I'm going to do is I actually am going to try and put 2 blacks in row 5. I'm not sure. Not sure. I think I can afford to do that. Okay, so Sunny's doing this. He has committed to this play, which makes sense. He will be having himself 2 rows clogged in round 5, which is not normally something you can afford. There are lots of reds coming, and so I'm definitely not going to prioritize my row 2, especially since I broke it a long time ago. Yeah, and Sunny just wants me to clog my row 5, which I actually can understand. So let's see what we end up getting. He does have 2 monster setups, but I'm 8 points ahead. Yeah, I should have been really counting harder. The blues, I almost ended up losing my top row, right? There was a sufficient number of blacks. Isn't that interesting? So maybe just allowing my opponent the row 3 was not such a bad idea. Now there's also a question if I should allow them the row 1, and I think the answer is yes. So what, let me think about it. I'm 8 points ahead, right? So for the row 1, they's gonna score 5 points extra compared to me. For row 2, there's gonna score 3 points extra compared to me. That's already 8. And for row 3, I can get the same as them. Actually, no, 1 point less. But they probably should be discarding a little bit more than I am. So again, is it okay? Well, actually, I have to finish the game. Well, do I? Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. And I feel like I can make something nasty happen for my opponent. Oh, they can get 4 blacks together, which is a bit of a problem. Well, I could actually prevent that from happening, but I'd rather start with this. Oh, I could also use the reds here, but I'm just gonna try and score the most. Because then if he takes 1 red, there should be 3 reds available for row 3. I don't know. I feel like if I make him take the starting player token, I should be winning this. By like a point or something. It's gonna get pretty close. Actually, don't I just lose if he takes 1 red? Yeah, I may have... I may need to calculate this a little bit more. So the thing that I didn't want to do, I didn't want to group together too many of those golds together. Then actually now I realize this is not a problem at all. Yeah. I think I might be toast. I think I actually might be toast. Isn't that interesting? Okay, let's try and think about this. So for now, we are completely equal, right? Again, let's just double check. So he's getting 12 for the first. I'm getting 5, so he has 7 extra. No, he has 5 extra because I'm getting 7. For the second, he has 9. I'm getting 6, so that's 3. So that's 8 extra. Plus a extra completed line, so tie is no good to me. Then there's also the problem that I can't actually take anything from the bottom, from the plate, right? What if I just take away whites from him? What if I take away whites from him and just discard them? That's -4. And then I'm gonna get 3 points for my row 3. Ah, man, I'm losing this. So what should I have done in my last round? I feel like there was a victory somewhere in the last round. Maybe my second move was wrong. Maybe actually I had to take reds from the other plate. Yeah. Fine. This is just the only thing that I can see. Just to make him discard a little bit. But the problem with that is that there are 4 blacks and he can actually build in row 4. Honestly, I can't believe how is that my board is clogged but his isn't. Hi, P-chan. Yeah. And then it's like, regardless of what happens, I'm going to be surrendering a ridiculous number of points. I'm losing 6 no matter what, right? Well, wait, I don't have to lose 6. I can get... No, I'm losing 6 no matter what. And then I'm either getting 4 as compensation, or I'm getting a bit more that way. Yeah, I'm getting a bit more that way. Just look at this. His board looks perfect. I messed this one up a little bit. Definitely messed this one up. Maybe also taking blues was not that important. 4-point difference. Yeah, I thought it was going to be something like this. Because maybe taking the blue was not that important. If I just not finish the game... Or no, maybe if I just like allow him to steal the row 1. If I steal his row 2, then we're sort of even. And his row 2 is worth more than my row 1 in any case. You see, the problem with all that thinking is that if I steal his row 2 with whites, I don't really have a good place for those whites because, yeah, I guess I could pull them on row 2, but it's only 3 points instead of 6. So that is a problem as well. I think there was something tactical. I just took the red from the wrong plate, and I should have actually not been afraid of grouping together 4 gold because I thought that would allow him to score on his row 4, but then that wouldn't be any problem because if he commits early on his row 4, then he loses because I can stick him with some group of 3 or 4 that he discards. Yeah, so that's the thing that I oversaw. Alrighty, well, thanks, Sonny, for the game. Not great to continue stream with a loss, but it's nice to learn something about round 5 in any case. So yeah, the solution was I needed to provoke him to commit to row 4 too early. Alrighty. There was also this one interesting round in row 3 where I felt like we both made a mistake. I kind of allowed that turn when I took 1 black when there were 4 islets of a single black tile available on 4 different plates. That was certainly not something that you want to do. It's definitely much better to let them be grouped together. Alrighty. No, so basically I mean that if there are 4 isolated single tiles and you need 2 of them, you just have to be patient and wait until 2 of them actually get grouped together. And the move that I had to play was just take the 1 white, relinquish the starting player tile. It cost you a point anyway. I ended up losing by 4 points, equivalent to 4 starting player tokens, by the way. Alrighty, so it's a great round for my opponent. Divaka start in row 4. I should oppose either with 2 whites or 2 blues. I think 2 blues is the way to go here. This also makes it so that my opponent can't really use the whites. Yeah, I like this. Oh, this appears that it cannot really be correct. But let's see. Let's see. So if I take 2 whites myself, what's gonna happen? My opponent, of course, is gonna take the 3 golds. Let's try to create some threats. Let's see how he responds to that. Whoa! Oh, I did not expect this at all. Oof. Yeah, man, this is gonna be a fun game. Okay, how do we do this? It's just, well, we don't group the whites. I know that as much. Yeah. No, I think I'm getting a lot in this round actually. Except for whites. Actually, yeah, you know what? Maybe my move might be not that great. Oh, never mind. No, 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 you can't do this. Devaka, you can't do this. It's just, don't give me tiles this awesome. Oh, that's actually a big question. Do we go for row 3? Or do we go for this, right? So this is an option as well. But I feel like having... I feel like having 4 rows completed in round 1 is such a flexible setup that I'd rather just pivot to a different column later on. Yeah, I don't know. There were several ways how I could have approached this. I feel that my approach is reasonable as it is. Even though this white looks like it doesn't accomplish much, like, it's gonna play a little bit later. Well, unless my opponent gets the 3 blacks, which they should score here. And it kind of forces my hand as well. Well, does it really? Yeah, I think it does. I think I need to start... Well, actually, I'm not sure what I need to start doing. Because you know what? There's this type of game where you can win without building any columns, and I wonder if we happen to be in such a game. I could, of course, take the starting player tile, and this is totally respectable. But maybe I don't have to. Maybe I can just start taking blues. Yeah. I think whites can wait for a little bit longer. And the idea with blues, I just really want to take away my opponent's options. I mean, he has so many options. He can use blues for row 3, for row 2. Now he kind of needs to use... Well, I'm not sure what he needs to use, but he needs to use something else, right? I also now actually might start to methodically take away my opponent's options for row 2 as well. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking this. First of all, I need the reds there anyway. And reds are a great tile. Ooh, really? This could hurt you. Oh, this could cost him. This could cost him a lot. I feel like there's a way how I could make my opponent pay dearly, but I just don't see it. Maybe going for the standard tactic is actually not the way. I think the way I make my opponent pay is I first of all commit to row 5 with the whites. I feel like there's enough to go around. Then do I just take away 1 blue or something? I think so. I think this might be the case. Yeah, let's play that kind of game. The reason I'm taking away a blue rather than the blacks is precisely this. Because my opponent can actually force something on his row 2 if he so chooses. Now, I do end up actually with a rather clunky looking setup. And I do need a lot of gold. 6 golds to complete my setup. But I feel like something's coming there. So first of all, my opponents will max out on the gold in this round. And what can I do? What can I do, actually? That's a great question. So what do I want to do? Well, I think I want to use reds for row 3, but so does my opponent. So reds are pretty valuable in this round. But I also don't want to commit to row 3 too early. Okay, let's go for this. My opponent doesn't need blacks. Yeah, that is smart to go for row 3 rather than row 2. Let's try and maybe do something like this. Try to threaten a bit of something on row 3. If my opponent gets 2 blues, that's fine. But if my opponent doesn't get 2 blues now, oh, now they're gonna see themselves a problem. Because yeah, I'm just gonna go here, right? And then I'm gonna get something from my row 3. And they should end up discarding a little bit. I definitely want to be grabbing the blues or the reds here. And ideally I want to get the whites. Even though it's a bit of an efficient building, we're running short on whites a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so at least we made him sacrifice his row 1. Which makes me think that this here would be the optimal way to go. Yeah. My opponent's going to get something good in his row 2. Or row 1 if he so chooses. This is also interesting because, like, yeah, he wants to get the reds, but then if he does so, he makes no progress on the blues whatsoever. And I have just freed up my row 5 for defense and a potential complete color. So I have 9 blues ready on my board with 11 still to come. No blues were discarded to the best of my memory. And yeah, I feel like my opponent's going to be in dire straits here. And actually, my decision is that I'm going to do just this. I don't think it's crazy. In fact, I think it's very much not crazy. Yeah, of course my opponent's going to try to do stuff like this. Then all I need to make sure is that my opponent cannot complete color on the blacks, by the way, but I don't think we're there yet. I can just take care of the blacks actually right now. I'm also going to have some problems in my row 2. So it's not great to see. And if I don't do something about it right now, my opponent is going to take... Yeah, so actually I think I need to do this and take blacks like that. It's just for defense. No, 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 no. Why? You can't do that. You can't do that. No, and I really had to keep his row 2 flexible. Because then it just becomes too straightforward for me. Oh, I see. He's going for that complete color. Yeah, that's also an option. That is definitely an option. And it's also, like, I'm also not sure what exactly should I do about it. Should I just take the gold myself? Or should I just take... Should I just take the whites? Because the whites don't do all that much for my opponent. This is also something nice to think about. But you know what? Let's take the whites. No, but then what's going to happen? Yeah, I think here, at least what we can do is a bit of a cleanup. And also, our row 2 is not that big of a concern in any case. Well, I think this one's actually pretty easy. I'd rather just do this. Yeah, very interesting game, and, well, I'm toast, I think? Well, actually, no, maybe not. So my opponent should be getting a complete color on the golds, or they could get a complete column, but not both. They might be able to get both. Wait. If I just ignore the golds, if I just take a blue, then they have to take... Yeah, I think I need to delay this. I think I need to do this first. And now I have a bit of an unlikely but effective threat. On my row 3. Huh, isn't that fun? So I get to do this, I guess. And then I can decide later if I can finish the game safely or not. I think the answer is actually yes. So if they take away 2 reds, which is their natural move, I can deny them a lot of stuff. But this requires precise calculation. Okay, so -4. My opponent's getting 3 points on the completed tile, so -7. But they're losing 2, so -5. If I go for my row 1 right now, I lose 4 points on the floor line. But my opponent also loses 4 points on the floor and for red, so that doesn't count. Because I'm sticking my opponent with the reds no matter what. Okay. Or the golds. Okay, So let me just double check this. So let's say if we do lose... so 4, wait. 5. My opponent's losing 2, so -3. Yeah, -3 right now. I'm going to be losing 4, so that's -7. I'm scoring 9, so that's +2. If my opponent gets the blues cannot score my opponent as much as the blacks. But if my opponent gets the blacks, then that's going to be the problem. Isn't that interesting? Okay, let me think about it again. So if my opponent gets the blacks instead of blues, the blacks score them 3. And I still have to discard the blues for like 4 more. And I'm not making up 7 points. So I think what I need to do first is actually I need to take away blacks from my opponent. Oh, wow. Yeah, but this is where they're mistaken. This is where they had to take the whites to prolong the game. Because now that I've taken away the blacks, now I can actually finish safe with the game. It's a pretty instructive moment. If they were to take away the whites, they could have put the game to round 6. You see, my blacks on row 6 just score a little bit too much. And when all is said and done, I think we'll be ahead by like 2 or 3 points or something like this. Okay, Sunny wants my Elo and Carcassonne as well, so that's going to be next. Yeah, something like 6 points. Okay, good game. Good game indeed. Yeah, very fun one where we take away each other's colors. It's also quite instructive to just not be too hung up on what you need to build, but just try to take away stuff from your opponent when it is more profitable. And in these earlier rounds, my board was, of course, a bit disrupted, but my opponent's board was disrupted more. Actually, look at this. They didn't get a single blue for the row 3. They ended up getting only 2 blues over here, and I ended up getting the complete color. They also gained a complete color, but one which has fewer adjacencies bonuses associated to it. But the most instructive bit is towards the end. On the previous turn, if we were to take the whites, we would have lost the game because the blacks would have scored a bit too much for my opponent, and also my opponent would have denied me the blacks. But once we get ourselves the blacks, then we boost our scoreline enough so that finishing the game is a real threat, and this is where our opponent needed to take the whites here, or at least here, actually. Yeah, and then they would have even been even money in round 6. They would have even been ahead in round 6, so we needed to actually hope for a very lucky draw with no blues and lots of yellows. Yeah, so I think a bit of something to learn for Divaka here about round 5. Alrighty, now, Carcassonne time. In the meantime, of course, feel free to sign up for either Carcassonne or AZUL. Okay, slightly different way of thinking. We get the starting player advantage again. Here, I'm also going to help out my opponents a little bit, and I'm even going to do this. I know I'm saying help out, but basically, there's this whole big debate whether you should turn the road tile that way, or you should turn away the field tile that way. The disadvantage of using the road tile like this is that if my opponent gets a clover, then they get to take 2 points in addition to finishing their city. But the advantage of my move is that it takes care of more immediate threats, like extenders, like there's a greater number of city caps like this, like Sunny has. So overall, I think this is more precise. And now I'm also going to try and press him hard in that here city. Okay, this is also great. Sunny has only one legal option, and now another instructive moment. Instead of finishing our road here, which is also honestly not a bad move, I'd rather just go here and start creating another threat. The threat is, of course, to draw a big tile. Or, you know, this could happen. Oh, man. Oh, this is rough. But, of course, the threat was to draw a Dorito and try to block this guy. Alrighty. Then the move is indeed here, because by prolonging my road, I'm also decreasing the quality of my opponent's square. Because I'm threatening some things here. For example, let's say if blue now gets a second monastery and they go over here. This suddenly becomes super, super vulnerable. So just this one straight line next to it, it's something that you want to get here as early as possible. Alrighty, some interesting turns. Sunny, of course, is going to do the restriction move. I can either do this. This is never an option, of course. I can do this, which is sort of developing my own city, but I think this is more important. And I was debating between this and this, but now that I see that my road can develop to the left, this is defo more important. Now, of course, the plan is to start drawing some big tiles and put in and just get an advantage against this square. And also the thing is, like, if I don't go here, if I just do this, then my opponent can get an extender tile. An extender tile is just so bad. It prepares another monastery. And it just cleans up the square so nicely. Even a regular city cap just cleans up here so nicely. Now if my opponent gets a monastery, then they have some ways how they could lose a couple meeples. Alrighty, so they get a tile to bail them out of their city at the top. But my city is right there to invade. Now I need to choose between this, which is a reasonable move, and this, which is the more aggressive move, which is the line that I'm going to take. There's still 4 crossroads. I want to take away that scoring spot, where with a couple of curves you can get easy 4 points. And also, in case this square gets blocked, I might need to bail out my road meeple with a crossroad. Hi, Joaquin. Yes, of course, just do let me know your PGA screen name. Then we're doing a Carcassonne game next. Yeah, that's a good move. Starting a new city. I guess there was also this opportunity for blue, but at the start of the game it's a bit too risky to do stuff like this and kind of not worth it. So what are our options? I was thinking this, but then it's not really realistic that I'm going to take the city over, so it probably has to be something like this, or this seems better, yeah. Just gonna try and press my opponent a little bit. It's not gonna work. It's actually gonna backfire quite painfully, but we'll live with that. I definitely just don't like the idea of having my meeple restricted to a crossroad, so I'd rather save it towards a standard square. Yeah, I mean, this is easily the decision here. Now we're gonna try and create some problems for Sunny, and his response is actually forced. He has to connect right now or he's going to get blocked. But at the very least, what we did is we eliminate an important monastery spot. Now we also get a starting tile to continue our city here. So that's rather fortunate. What's not fortunate is that he's going to get an invasion tile immediately. And blue here has a significant advantage already, so I might have to start going for the heavy artillery. But if I do this, we're actually running out so short on Doritos. There are only 4 Doritos remaining, and I only have 1 meeple remaining. I just feel like that invasion is never working. Yeah, I really do. I think my best line of action is just to score. This is also, oh, this is also actually not a crazy idea. Yeah, this is actually even a bit more precise. Because it makes the obvious monastery spot for my opponent a little bit worse. Actually, he should still do it. Now that I think about this, it might have even improved that monastery for him. I'm thinking, of course, about this here spot in the center. Yeah. Because now I realize that's... So the danger of this spot lies in the fact that 3 out of the 4 starting tiles are already on the board, and if something goes here, then this square is vulnerable. But if I do that, my opponent can grab one of the 4 remaining Doritos and trap my meeple as well. But if he does so, I can actually use the crawling technique in some instances and try to create a big ruin. Alrighty. Now, no good moves for me at all here. By the way, so this is a move that might come to mind in some of you because it looks like it's a restriction. In fact, it's not a restriction. If anything, it helps my opponent create a better monastery spot. So, ooh, maybe this. No, I allow myself to get blocked. My opponent also gets blocked, but they actually get a defense pretty easily. So it might be this, and I might even actually spend a meeple there. As no, it's crazy. Don't do this, Alexey. Just don't do this. If I, yeah, I don't like leaving roads in space, but I feel like there's some merits to it. And the main merit, of course, is trying to play against this square. So my opponent's going to get a meeple back, and I'm going to play in a very, very principled manner. I'm not going to go here. I'm just going to try and block his monastery. And the thing that I said was going to happen happens. He now has to block my meeple as well. And the thing that I said happened also happened is now I can try and use the crawling technique to try and create a big ruin. So this sort of all still works. I know that maybe it might have seemed in hindsight that it's better to go here, but it really isn't. Because there are many instances, let's say, where my opponent just gets something like a straight line. In which case, I'm still going to have 3 blocking tiles in the dagger. And my opponent only truly has 1 defense tile, the starting tile, which goes here. So this is my best move in this position, I believe. Yeah, and Sunny makes his best move. And I make my best move, which is to go here and try to seriously threaten that city there. Now it's not going to work. Okay, perfect. I have your screen name, Joaquin. This is also so interesting. Like, if Sunny doesn't do something with a splitter right now, then I actually get to go there. Oh man, it was so close. It was absolutely worth the try. Now, what do we do next? If we go here, I might create a bigger ruin and start trapping my opponent's meeples. If I go here, I might also start creating a bigger ruin, but just also adding a point to myself. If we go here, this is sort of the safer move because I'm preventing my opponent from an invasion. But then there's so many city caps for him to free himself out. And if I don't address the spot, there's still a splitter. The disadvantage of this is that I'm making my road a bit more vulnerable because, you know, something could fit here. And like if my opponent does something like this, then suddenly I cannot use cows or horses rather, to liberate myself. Yeah, it's tough. This idea, like for some odd reason, I do like quite a bit. Just because there's only 4 of these big guys remaining. But I would probably prefer the standard move. Yeah, and just try to just get myself out of that situation. The problem here, of course, is that I really almost never trap that blue meeple. Because in order to trap the blue meeple, what I need to do is I need to get an extender or one of the 2 remaining cows before my opponent gets any city cap, and this is something that just never happens. I also need to get myself any sort of Dorito tile, well, there's only one, just to make sure that my city is open for business again. Well, actually, now that I think about it, it's really not such a big deal, because most of the tiles that I need for city development actually are city plus field tiles. So it's pretty open, and in fact, I can even do this and this and this and go to that square. I also get a monastery, which is fantastic, and I am going to use it. I really need the points here. I'm behind a bit too much. I have crossroads to free myself here. I have curves for this here area. Yeah, I do believe that investing the last meeple here is correct. My opponent finishes his city, giving me the opportunity to get the last Dorito and go here. I believe it is more important than developing my monastery because I'm setting up myself for a couple of extra points. Speaking of which, I'm going to have such an interesting choice next turn. So I really hope that blue here makes one particular move. And given the fact that I don't have meeple, it's not unreasonable for blue to... Oh, dear. Dear, 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 dear. Yeah, that is rough. I am going to get blocked so hard, and I don't want to defend like this. I don't want to defend... Wait. It's such a loss of points. So I'm really between 2 moves. One is this, which is the greatest number of points available to me. And it also harasses my opponent a little bit. Or this, which sort of pre-finishes my road, and that was the purpose of it to begin with. But then it opens up such a nasty attacking spot for my opponent. So I'd rather go with this. If I had meeples, then I might... You know, actually, I don't... No, there's... Never mind. Oh, man. What do we do with this? Well, we need to continue our city, I guess. Going here looks like an interesting option. I mean, I'm developing the monastery. But the fact that there are no starting tiles remaining, that makes it quite difficult to continue. So I'd rather actually do something unusual. I'm going to go here, which normally is a mistake, because you don't want to leave a city cap next to your opponent. But in this particular instance, it's a trap. Because there is only one Dorito remaining, and this is the Dorito that Sunny has in hand. And it's super tempting for them to just go and continue that city, but they're really I mean, they should probably do it anyway, actually. No, they shouldn't. Instead, I think they should just block my road, which is going to inflict me a lot of pain in the short term. Well, Sunny's thinking about this. You can also try and block my other road, but to me it is clear that blocking my bottom road is best. So, yeah. No. Oh, come on. No. This cannot be correct, right? Why is he leaving me 3 tiles instead of 1? Okay, I'll take it. You know what? It would also have been fair for me to just draw one of these tiles. Okay. Now another pivotal decision here. Do we just take 1 point like this? I don't think we do. Do we just develop our monastery like that? In which case it can be quite easily broken. Do we just go here and try to finish our road? That might be the way to go, actually. I know I'm missing out on 2 road tiles. But I'm getting 2 extra points. Yeah, and my road's kind of equally vulnerable regardless, so I think I'm okay with this. Sunny's just racking up points. Thankfully, I get a meeple back early enough. Then I can start doing something in this game. Well, Sunny's gonna score 4 points of his own. And this is the moment where you might just start taking incredible risks. Yeah, this move makes a lot of sense. So my first thought is, do we just do something like this? This is an option. No, it isn't an option, because there are no Doritos left. So there's just really no point in fighting for cities. I might also break my opponent's city, but I can't really afford to do that. I think I need to build up my own. And I want to build my city in the unsafest location possible to entice my opponent into invading it. Because there's so few invasion tiles. And also there are some scenarios where I might be creating a better monastery spot right there. Like, for example, with a vanilla crossroads and a monastery and the last extender. Yeah. Trying to break, it's pretty interesting because it's pretty easy to do, but I cannot afford to do that. So the last crossroads is drawn by my opponent, and it is immediately put to good use for 3 points. I guess I'll just build up my monastery and try to create another monastery spot, so pretty standard stuff. And what my opponent should do, I guess they should meeple that road, actually. It's 6 points. They have a meeple extra. That move helps me. It just helps me. They think that they prevent an invasion of the city, but in fact what they're doing is they're preventing the block of my road meeple. And actually they didn't prevent the invasion of the city. If I get a splitter tile, I might have to go here and do this, and then try to get the last horse in order to invade. Yeah, I'm gonna just do this. I'm gonna try and wait for one of the many curves to finish a monastery and finally get a meeple back. And I'm still not even like that far behind. I just need to get a few good draws like city caps and stuff. Just as I see my opponent draw a city cap. Okay, that makes sense. Also, I get myself the last horse, or sort of the last cow. Which probably is just going here. I mean, not really all that much that we can do. I will be needing my road meeple back pretty soon. I have to get a monastery point, which makes a lot of sense. I just have to take 4 points, and they're probably gonna get that 9-point field, but that is okay. Like, what choice do we have? What choice do we have? Oh, okay, they don't get the 9-point field, which actually makes some sense. But then this allows us to maybe get the 9-point field, and maybe even get multiple fields. So there's still vanilla city cap remaining, which means the move is just to go here. It's a pretty obvious decision. And my opponent needs to counter that field immediately. But you know, you never know who's going to make a mistake and when. Or actually, this move is maybe even better. This might be even better, yeah. It's a pretty good road. Well, let's try and abuse them a little bit here. Okay, now actually after this, maybe have a little bit of hope. So my first order of business is I need to go here. And I need to drop that other farmer. And then I need to just pray that my next tile is going to be a road end. Not like that. But basically, if I can get my road meeple back soon, then that would be very much ideal. Now the question here again, do I try and get myself 6 points, or will it lead to my opponent connecting the fields? No straight lines remaining, and only 2 curves. And there's still a road monastery. Yeah, that is a bit dangerous. I think we do this and just let them go through the effort. Okay, now they have a really neat move which wins them the game on the spot. I mean, they have, of course, a very good position already. But the move is to go here and try to invade that city. And the main idea is that they would be preventing me from getting an easy meeple back. Because the only way for me to finish that road would be to invade here. Would be to help them with the invasion here. Now I do hope that they do something else, anything else really. I'm actually not that far behind. I think I'm like 3 points behind in total. It's the 2 meeples which are the problem. Yeah, I think I had a genuine shot. So if my previous tile were to have been a road end, then I could have scored 4 more points for this completed city in my field. In my fields, plural. And then actually I can sort of hang in there. Nicola is asking, camera broken today? No, I just looked in the mirror and figured. Maybe, you know, it's not one of those days. No, maybe a different stream when I like my face a little bit better. We can go back. I need to be conscious though that if we are going to do streams without a camera, that at the very least I should be saying a bit more things. But this game really appears to be pretty difficult from the get-go. Because I felt that most of my decisions were reasonable. It's just we didn't really quite manage to connect. Yes, he finds it. Of course he finds it. Unfortunately, he does find it, yeah. So that is a move which absolutely seals the deal. I now need to go here to protect my fields. Like this, I think. No, actually like this, yeah. Just not to allow invasions which are too easy. And also to give myself more good squares. Yeah, I didn't really realize how much of a problem that road meeple would become. Oh no, you kidding me? Well, actually, this is like imprecision from Sunny, maybe? Because there's only one curve remaining? Yeah, it's definitely. So he's trying to connect my fields, but of course, it was stronger to place this curve here so that he could also use the crossroads. And there are no vanilla monasteries, there are no vanilla caps, no splitters, no Doritos, no nothing, right? Oh, if I go here, I can try and get myself some extra cities in the field, except this doesn't work. So what I'm going to do instead is... Oh, that's also an interesting question. Do we go here to grab ourselves some extra points for the city, or do we go here and hope to grab 3 extra points for the field? I think we got to go for this. Oh, Sunny can just do... Oh, this is nasty. Yeah, he's going to give me the meeple when I least need it. And the big problem that we have is that the last remaining tiles are city caps. So he's threatening the completion of the city. I'll tell you more. My only way to block is to make a 1-point move. Oh, this is just ridiculous. Right? Because the remaining tiles are a right-handed dagger and a rose. So my only possible block, which I have to do, is this. Oh wait, but I still have a meeple for the future, right? Yeah, okay, so that's fine. So at the very least, I get to use my meeple on my last turn. Yeah, but this also means that my opponent gets to take the 6-point field. That actually can't take it away from him. This is pretty annoying timing. Oh dear. Nicola is asking how much delay do I have on stream. I think it should be 1 minute. Yeah, so Sunny finds a 7-point move, which is nice, but I also do have a 7-point move in the end. And somehow I managed to get myself 2 big fields. I have 30 points per field. It's not enough, but hey. We'll take any consolation prizes. GG indeed. Do let me know in the chat if you think I could have done something differently in that one. It kind of did feel like a real uphill battle, but overall I'm quite happy with how I played that one. Yeah, honestly, it was an interesting game. Maybe the result was already known like 10 tiles before, but there were still these outside chances. There were a lot of subtle decisions. Ah. Oh, we also slide under 600. Oh, this is not great, but you know, whatever. Anyway, GG Sunny. So next, I think we have Joaquin. But also a reminder to everybody that you can also challenge me to AZUL games. And if anything, I prefer to alternate. Yeah, the delay might be a bit more than a minute, because there's the one which I put, and there's the one which YouTube sort of adds inadvertently. Alrighty, there we go. Oh, this is an interesting opening. So Joaquin gets to go first. And we have this. And for a long time I kept doing this, but if you go here, then you so often end up with losing melee battle with a crossroads here. Your opponent does something like this, This gets blocked, they get your ruin. So what I prefer doing now instead is this. Starting a road indirectly with a slightly weird shape, but it's whatever at this point. And opening up a second attacking platform against Red City. This does appear to be the best move, I think. Now I get to decide between going here, which is pretty interesting, because I get to control a lot of space and kill off some monastery spot, but this is the more standard move, trying to reduce variance. Basically making sure that red cannot run away with a big city if red suddenly starts drawing Doritos and I don't. Yeah, connecting the road makes sense, so does re-invading. If my opponent wants to split the roads, he'll be forced to go here and spend a valuable city tile into a shared city. Oh, that's actually a pretty neat move. Try to create a platform from another side. I think it was a bit stronger from red's perspective to actually go here and create a platform like this, so create a platform for blocking rather than for re-invasion. Now I think I'm just going to allow the re-invasion. I'd rather to complete the connection as early as possible. And fortunately for me, red does not get a curvy tile. Yeah, but okay, I can see Joaquin's idea. That's actually pretty neat. Trying to go for that big road over here. If anything, I don't think it's a big tragedy if yellow finishes a road from red's perspective. Finally, I get to be on the scoreboard. Also gets fantastic tile as well. You see, now if red manages to invade the road, I'm actually not really even losing that much. But I still believe it's worth sacrificing the city cap to do... Well, I could actually do this as well. But this is just better. Let's split the difference with the roads. I'm going to get further on the scoreboard. My opponent's going to score a little bit. Oh, so they're going to go like this. They're going to try and be aggressive, which actually makes some sense. I would have just taken the points for the city cap, but now I think this seems to be a bit stronger, right? I guess I could do this, but I'd rather just prevent a bad scenario and also restrict my opponent's options. And also create a threat here, if I get something here. Okay, the first monastery of the game goes for red, which makes a lot of sense. There's really not that much that I can do rather than just take 4 points and also threaten red's city here. Also now, a farmer is in the cards for both of us. Okay, red should drop a farmer here. Oh, no. So this is the first mistake of the game. That city cap is just not worth a lot. And especially since it's next to your monastery, so you're controlling the city cap. So first of all, if like that farm right here is worth so much because it's such a convenient platform. And let's say if yellow even gets a city cap, and if I finish a city on your farm, well, I'm developing your monastery, and I'm also leaving my meeple here stranded for longer. So we're definitely at a part of the game where my opponent should have farmed. Instead, I'm going to farm. I'm also going to obstruct the city of my opponent. And now really not that many options for red. Oh, no, another mistake. Definitely you shouldn't really be finishing our roads. Yeah, maybe I'm not sure, maybe that's stream jitters. But basically, first of all, if you're going to share the roads, then you know that this is a move that costs you points. Because you had 5, I had 1. So basically that was a minus 4-point move. But then more importantly, what you want to do, you want to make sure that not only do you still have chances to separate with the crossroads, but you might be able to block. For example, here, or at least you make sure that I'm the one who has to spend a curve going here and connect. And what red should have done here is just gone here for a 4-point loop. Speaking of loops, this is what I'm going to do. Dropping a city cap in my field. Yeah, so Joaquin does get himself some 4 points, but this is all in my field. And you know what? That idea of conquering this city is just not that important. I'm gonna go ahead and simply start securing the farm. Now some 3 points for my opponent. And now an opportunity for me to try and inflict some blocking attack. Now let's see if you know about your defense. Red absolutely should go here and defend. Yeah, there we go, there we go. So even though there's only 1 tile remaining, it's still a city absolutely worth saving. In the meantime, I'm just going to be dropping more city caps into my field. And the idea is that I want to just score lots with my temporary meeple advantage. Red should be cleaning up those city caps regardless. You see, this one is going to be an imprecision. So first of all, you do want to clean up the city cap. And second, this is the type of the city that with which you want to wait a little bit. So even if you don't want to count all the tiles, you can see that only 1 Dorito is remaining, which means that 9 are still in on the board, still in the deck. So this sort of pattern with 3 Doritos, it's very likely to occur. So it's better wait for that. The problem with this move is that there's still a lot of curves remaining with any of the 6 curves that can go here, in which case you're going to have a Sophie's Choice block. You're going to need the same tile here and here. And basically, whenever you make a move like this, you just need to instantly assume, so like what's going to happen if your opponent's going to get a curve. Yeah, so here was just better to wait. Now I can just score 2 points, honestly. Or I can just get myself a monastery. I'm not sure what's even better. I'm actually just going to get a monastery here. And try and control some space. Yeah, that's, I think, pretty interesting. Let's do this. Yeah, Joaquin is saying happy to have defended that city. And you see, exactly, case in point, like with this Dorito tile, he could have done something like this. But now he has covered up his own city. Yeah, okay. Ah, well, this is being very, how do I say this? Very, very adventurous. But in that sense, I kind of like this move. Now, we know that this move loses against any road tile, but my opponent is far enough behind that it's worth the risk. Because with the road tile, I just block here, and play against here. But now if I don't do anything, my opponent can suddenly get a city cap and a Dorito and win that city. And I don't like that. So I think I'm actually forced to go here, which is not the worst move to be making, because it's a 4-point monastery regardless. I do connect all the farms, and I'm also threatening a block against my opponent. Yeah, so trying to score here, but now, of course, the Sophie's Choice block, which I was talking about earlier, does in fact occur, so the same tile is needed here and here. And this is something that's just very difficult to deal with. It also means that I never really need to bother about developing my monastery, because when Red is going to complete his city, if he is fortunate enough to draw the last remaining dagger tile, he's going to need to choose between this, and he's probably going to choose the one that doesn't help my monastery. He might choose that one, which is worth more points, but then in that case, then I can build up my monastery. Yeah, then the placement of this tile doesn't really matter that much. I can just keep scoring. And then this move also makes all the sense in the world, but then of course I have to invade. Just to not allow my opponents easy meeple recoveries with tiles like this. And then of course, if I'm gonna get a Dorito myself, I'm never gonna invade. I'm gonna force my opponent to complete the city. Instead, I'm gonna just keep doing this. Scoring. I don't really need to finish the shared city next to my monastery. Yeah, that makes sense. Now let's try to be precise here. I guess we can do this. But then I think it's actually just more precise to go here. Not allow our opponents to finish the bigger of the cities. And then just going here is fine. We're gonna try... and play against some of the monastery squares there. The main purpose, of course, is just for no meeples further to be recovered in this game. Yeah, let's do this. We can just build up in any way we please. No, that's interesting. Is my opponent... yeah, he's going for points. Which also makes me want to do this. I'm really not in a hurry to finish any city. Now that is smart. Now that is smart, trying to create an invasion opportunity. You know what? I'll bite. Shall I play my last meeple there? I'm gonna play my last meeple there. Like, normally you shouldn't, but there's still plenty of... I mean, there are plenty of those remaining, right? Wait, can I lose like this? I might actually lose like... I'm doing it. I don't care. I'm doing it. Okay, actually, no, this is a mistake. What I needed to do is just finish the city and drop another farmer. Yeah, this is definitely extra. This is absolutely not necessary. Okay, let's now just... yeah, we actually... here's the thing. Our opponent has a way to win this game by doing stuff like this, for example. Now, finally, at least we get to block a little bit. But yeah, there was no really good reason for me to invade that city. Okay, that... yeah, my opponent didn't really have a good reason to do this either. Because they might invade me. But then I'll invade them back. But then... we'll just have it shared. Okay, let's not try and do some blocking. Unsuccessfully. Okay, this now becomes a bit more interesting. Shall I just add myself a city point? I think I might have to. No. Let's just block this city cap. Yeah, I could really lose this. I could absolutely lose this. Yeah, sure, the invasion is fine. Then what I need to do is I need to start taking care of field attacking opportunities. However, if my opponent does invade the field, My slight scoreboard lead in the monastery should give me a win. But let's start by going here, blocking the most potent attacking spot for the field. Okay, my opponent keeps scoring. Now I think I need to do this. This is to block some of my opponent's field invasion opportunities on the other side. But there's a way for red to actually save this. They should probably be invading my city at the bottom. They can also invade the field, but it's like a little bit too early. Because if they invade the field now, I'm gonna win by 2 points or something. Exactly 2 points, actually. Yeah. Now, though, we're gonna take care of this and wait. Or do we take care of this invasion square instead? We might need to take care of this. Which square is more important? And that would be a complete block as well. Huh. So there are no Doritos remaining, at least no field Doritos, and no splitters and no vanilla. So that would work. And if my opponent invades the city, then the city is not as big as the field. So what my opponent needs to do is score a couple of quick points. 4 quick points to be exact. And then also invade the field. And scoring 4 quick points actually might be the problem. They have a way to score 3, but not 4. Yeah, so I think this is the way to go. Well, I mean, I could also do... Yeah, I could actually also do this. What's the problem with that? I guess the problem is that it's just easier for my opponent to invade the field if it happens. Yeah, you know what? Let's just go with this. It's a pretty intuitive move, I think. And now my opponent now should not invade anything. They should just score 3 quick points. Because again, if they invade, it's not enough. Well, actually, now that I realized, if they do invade, then we're gonna tie the game. I know we're not gonna tie the game if they're gonna lose by 1. Okay, so now they're ahead by 2. Now after I do this, they're ahead by 1. If they invade the field. And the problem is that this is actually possible. Wow, 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 wow. It is absolutely still possible. Because there's still a straight line remaining. So we have to do this first. Yeah, and now here's the thing. Well, actually, maybe that was wrong. Maybe that was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be scoring points. No, I shouldn't be scoring points. Okay, they found the invasion square, which is beautiful. Then I'm gonna go here. And then we're gonna tie this game. If they invade successfully, we're gonna tie this game. And I'm gonna win this via a tie. Oh, man. Yeah, exactly, because look at this. They're 3 points ahead of the scoreboard. I have 7 points for Monastery, and they have 4 points for Blocked City. We're gonna tie the game. Joaquin is gonna lose. So yeah, so actually this here straight line is a clutch draw. It's a key draw. Oh, man. I guess I should still try blocking regardless, right? So what's the correct way of doing this? Okay, let's try and kind of give ourselves some more good probabilities, right? So there's still one curve remaining. And there are a couple of big tiles as well. Huh, the quadruple city tile is there. Which I did not expect. And I think I need to know the other one as well, but I don't. Is it something like a crossroads? No, it isn't. Why am I so slow at this? Ah, there was one more dagger. No, there wasn't. What am I forgetting about? The usual rule is if you're forgetting about a tile, it is an extender, but it is not an extender. So, what do we even do? I mean, obviously we need to go here or here, and depending on what's remaining, one is correct and the other one isn't. What is there except the quadruple city tile? Okay, I should have... Oh, man. I should not have taken this long. Of course, there is a monastery. So this means that now... it's a 50-50 for the invasion. Okay, my opponent successfully invades, which is pretty cool. They invade, I get to connect here, and they get a monastery. And it is a tie, but I win. Oh, what a game. I didn't think that would be the finish. So actually, the only reason I won was because of this straight line over here. Yeah, good game indeed. I think my biggest mistake was actually trying to invade this city. Even though it is the best equity move with still many Doritos remaining, you just gotta realize, like, that was opening the room to lose the game. And what I should have done is just finish the shared city, drop to farmer, kept one meeple for scoring quick points, and then that's it. But then we wouldn't have had this fun finish. Alrighty, yeah, great job almost pulling off a comeback. And I would probably like to do a couple more before wrapping up. Maybe like one AZUL or one Carcassonne. Just even 600 at the moment. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just play her against a random opponent. There's some expert whom I haven't seen. Although I do suspect this might be somebody's second account. This definitely looks that way. And then after this, we're doing another AZUL game and then we're wrapping up. Oh, Nikolai is saying that you're up for a Carcassonne game. Yeah, let's actually... Yeah, then of course I'm gonna prioritize this. So... Alright, let's go. How many experts does Croatia have? I feel like every time I log in, I see somebody new from Croatia to have crossed the 500 threshold. Well, good for you, but good for me that I'm the starting player. So for some standard opening moves, I do have to take that road despite being controlled by Blue's Monastery. Oh, look at this Blue with only one legal move. Well, two legal moves, but one move which doesn't actively help me. Yeah, and of course they have to take the city, and of course this is where I have to meeple the second road simply to deny my opponents that second road. Now I also get this here tile, which is amazing, because I get to finish my road, prolong my other road indirectly, and then also create a vulnerable square in my opponent's city, which is going to be immediately taken advantage of. Like this. I just want to complete those early blocks as soon as possible. Even at the expense of... Well, not really at the expense of any points. Hi, Afonso. Yeah, next time I'll probably consider streaming without delay. Because then, like, whenever you write a challenge in the chat, I don't see it until a minute after. That's a good move, because now it makes me choose. Oh, man, this is so tempting. This is so tempting to do just that. But I have to block. I have to block. You know, if there is an opportunity to block your opponent's meeple in one move, you should do it. Because you never know, like, if I fail to do it in one turn, then Blue might get this, and then I need to chase that city around. Like, you eliminate the threat. If that city is going to grow to a ruin, it's fine. I can later decide if I need to invade it or not. And this is not... Let's not do this. This is the best square to start a new city, kind of free from everything. So this, I think, is an imprecision from Yuto, because this city is already blocked, and what we want to do, you know, we want to use shielded tiles for finishable, unshared cities. Now, this is not a completable city, so this here was the move for Yuto, trying to put pressure against the square, prolong his road, and start a new city. So I think the first, quite a big imprecision for Blue. And I'm just going to continue my road and also expose Blue's road a little bit. Of course, later I'm looking forward to grab curve and start meepling this road, but it's just a bit too early to be doing that. No! No, 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 Yuto, no, 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 no. Blue made a move which I might have considered myself, but oh no. So the problem with that move is that you're closing down your city and you cannot make it expand anymore. And I see, I guess, the reason that you're doing this is that you want to prevent invasions, but invasions are actually not a big deal. There's a way to build the city up with some extenders and cows and horses, which now you have no use for. There's a way to build the city up further in the future in a way which actually does not make it vulnerable to invasion. So I think it was definitely quite a big miss. Yeah, case, look at this. And already you get a cow tile on the very next move. Now, again, also another imprecision. If you want to break my city, you got to orientate it the other way. You're going to turn it like that. Because now with a single city cap, I can complete it. Okay, so now, really some problems there. But I guess it's okay. Because I just get to build up a new road. Although, you know what? I could have just invaded Yuto's road, but I get to pre-finish my city, which is great. Leaving this here spot is not great for either side to benefit with the monastery. I guess yellow benefits there a little bit more than blue from a regular monastery, but blue benefits there more from a road monastery. So it's not something that I want to have in this position, and yet I'm still forced to continue my road, and I'm forced to create another monastery spot. Yuto's trying to attack me, as they should, on the left. Still, I'm going to be the slight favorite to finish that city before blue gets to attack. They finally get on the scoreboard, and I get to prolong my road here. Let's look at the 6 points in just 3 moves. So that road at the top works like a city. Pretty important to notice scoring opportunities like this. And yeah, Yuto is making the game very, very volatile. Leaving a monastery spot there. And there are now just so many monastery spots on the board. This one, this one, this one. But I know one thing that I'm going to do, I think it's time to actually start dropping farmers. I could go here small ball, like cover up 1 monastery spot and then start a city, but it's not really worth it. I can start a farm, try to play according to my meeple advantage. Oh, Yuto's trying to? Yeah, trying to play my meeple advantage. I'm not sure if that is worth it. Actually, it might have been better to just invade the city of Yuto, but I do like this idea. And now Yuto is going to prolong my farm, and they should do that. They really don't have that many options, yeah. And now, as tempting as it is to do something like this or like this, like this, I think let's be the responsible adults and just try to not go too much for the efficiency. And simply finish our city. So the position opens up, which benefits me, because I'm the side with all the meeples. And now I just can drop farmers everywhere. That's the plan for the game. Which also means that I might sacrifice a couple of monasteries if I have to. So blue is continuing his city, I think. Continuing the city at the top is slightly more precise. Just with the low number of daggers, that city is very, very vulnerable. Yeah, look at blue. Blue's really trying to create a lot of volatility, creating a 9-point monastery spot, which is probably what they should be doing. Now here, I have to do something like this. It's also a question whether it's worth dropping a farmer, and the answer is probably yes. Just on the off chance they do manage to get themselves that dagger tile. But also this farmer that I have, it can support this here place. And I already have a meeple advantage. It's not like I need a lot. So we're going to finish that road first as the more restricted one. Yeah, so blue is going to get the 9-pointer. Well, good for them. Of course. Of course. Now, blue is playing this exactly like they should, trying to come back. Now, I think if I just go here and try to set up the unification of my fields, I should be good. Is it worth doing it like this, though, this early? I might want to go here instead and try to go for 100% block. Yeah, I think this is a bit better. Actually, like this even. Don't ask me why. No, I mean, you ask me why, but basically this is one of those instances where the rule of a straight line doesn't really work. First of all, there are only 2 straight lines, and second, our opponent needs it here. And also, look at me. I'll actually end up blocking that city successfully, and then after I've done that, then I can start thinking about expanding the scope of my farmer. So probably the way blue's going to need to catch up will actually be trying to win fieldless, but that's a big if. Okay, they go for this alternative counter farm, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, that is one way to do things. And it does work out for them temporarily. Well, actually, I could do this. I could also do this. But this is just not nasty enough. So let's try break their city a little bit and then try to invade there later. I guess the question is, does Yudo want to finish his monastery? Or do they want to start a new one? And they might actually start a new one because there's a lovely 6-point monastery spot here. Which I may or may not use. This is interesting. I do feel like their city is pretty broken. And I'm considering to do this and drop a farmer here. But haven't I dropped enough farmers? I could also go here for the monastery, but then it actually does get blocked pretty easily. It's not that it gets blocked, it's that it just doesn't really get completed a lot. And also there's the question, do I even need another monastery to win? And the answer might be no. Then there's this move available, with the meeple or without. And this is to protect the integrity of my city and also to eliminate this here field connection platform. I do actually quite like it. So the question is, do I think I also place a meeple here. Just because I can afford it, really. Okay, so my opponent's gonna do this. Shall we break this city? Or shall we break this one instead? If we break this one, it's kind of definitive. If we break that one, I think he can still finish it. I do like this move maybe a little bit more. Because if he does have a Dorito, then we're going to have a little problem. Yeah, let's do that move first. Okay, so he gets his monastery back. I'm going to go here. And now I actually realize that the 6th monastery has been drawn. Which makes my situation a little bit more problematic. Why am I down 12 points? How am I down 12 points? The field is not even that big. Yeah, I need to hustle this one. So I definitely need a couple of road tiles that would get my meeple here. Because now I really do need that extra support. I don't know, this position seemed so good, but you see how powerful monasteries are. I'm thinking of this just going... Maybe that is the move. Because there's so many crossroads still available. Maybe that is actually the move. I could finish my road, but again, still many road... Well, 4 road ends is not that much. But if I go here, I kind of open up some field attacking opportunities. I don't like that. I could also just score 2 points here. Here I'm sort of threatening 5 points. In a way that also messes with my opponent's monastery a little bit. But I feel like it doesn't truly work. Okay, you know what? What if I just do this? No, let's do this actually. I feel like this is correct. We're gonna finish the road a little bit later. Yeah, and you see now Yuto just needs to count a little bit. So normally what you want to do is, of course, you want to go here and create the option to complete your monastery with another monastery. But now this is actually the correct move, trying to set up a crossroads. You could also go for the field. I just don't feel that really worked. Also, the reason I want to go here is just to eliminate some... Well, actually, there was also another field attacking platform. Okay, finally, this is definitely a mistake. With no monasteries remaining, it's very, very awkward. So, shall I just start playing against that city and that road? Well, I can certainly go here. And try play against it that way. With the meeple. Maybe that's the way to go, but I'm not sure if I can actually afford that. You know what? We're gonna both finish the cities. I think I can actually afford this. Unfortunately, though, my opponent is going to finish their monastery immediately. But they do get a city cap in my field. Now, man, this monastery really hurts. I think I want to try and do something like this, right? I need to build up my field a little bit more. I could just finish my city, but it feels a little bit weak. And there's still a sizable number of city caps to make that happen. So this is what I'm gonna do. And we're gonna now find out soon if it works or not. My opponent's gonna finally complete their city there. Huh, look at this, the permanent block was actually relevant. Oof. So they're finished their city. And I just need to draw a lot of city caps. Well, that's a way to score a little bit, isn't it? That is also a way to score a little bit. But this just happens to be a little bit more precise. Okay, so some scoring opportunities for my opponent too. I presume they're going to clean off the city cap in my field. Unless they choose to do a Dr. Taihan and finish my city and drop a farmer, which I'd probably welcome. Yeah, their monastery just closed so rapidly. Oh, they might also want to try and start attack my... Okay, this is definitely not worth... It's not worth doing, isn't it? Well, I'm not sure. They do score a bit with that. Because they're going to get 6 points for the farmer. Yeah, that's actually quite a sneaky move. Because I wanted to do this, but now I kind of can't. And the idea of this is that I would be actually threatening here a completion of the city. I can do this, and that looks like a complete block. But with a curve and a vanilla, they still have an option to connect to the field. But let's just hope that they don't see it. And at the very least, I just don't want to give them a field connection, which is super easy. So, now at this point, we're down 26. $23, 19, 1, 2, 3, 4. So technically we're down 7 and 2 meeples, but then we have like 2 big scoring opportunities with city caps, like here and here. And given that there's still 2 vanillas remaining, it's not crazy to actually go here as well and invest yet another meeple and try to just draw all the city caps there are to draw. There's still a starting tile, and there's still one of these guys available. I still probably want to do this, just because it's, you know, the most threatening of the options. And it might force my opponent to spend a tile on blocking, which is also great to see. I'm technically down 6, but I need 2 city caps to continue to complete my objectives. I need to get 2 out of 4 city caps at the very least. So still, I think a favorite to win. Yeah, because if I get the vanilla, then even just this move, it's already 10. Well, 9. And then if I get another city cap here, that is actually 13. So I do have 22 points waiting in store, whilst being down 6. And I really hope my opponent does spend a tile on blocking, but I think the best move that they have is just leaving that city alone. The best move that they have is going over here and dropping a farmer and hoping for vanilla city caps. Oh, okay, at least they don't drop a farmer, so that's something. So that is at least something. They should have dropped a farmer here. Now, I might drop a farmer myself, but I don't really have resources. I want to create more threats. I want to create more threats. Even though it's a 0-point move, I do like it quite a lot. Yeah, and this does not even eliminate the threat completely. Alright. Now, the problem that I have is that they actually might use that platform to invade the field. Oof. So I'm thinking of doing this, just covering up the field. But I can also do this and just drop a farmer here. But I don't think I can really afford it. Yeah, because I really need to drop farmers, but I'm going to drop farmers. Okay. So first of all, they can't drop a farmer, which is great. I mean, they can get the 6-pointer if they so choose. But now, actually, I can finish the top city now. And still threaten to finish one of the bottom cities, the bottom city as well. Yeah, so finishing the top city is actually 14. Which would already put me in the lead. Even if my opponent drops a 6-point farmer right now, which I think they should. They should probably go here. And take that field. Oh, this is such an exciting endgame. Hi, Vinny. Ving is saying he could close your city on the north and drop a farmer. Yeah, I'm aware of that. But then that would still require him a back-to-back city cap. So basically, if I do this, I should be winning 86% or 83% of the time. Ooh. So he just gave himself some extra chances, right? Okay, now we need to count again, actually. Does it ever make sense for me to not finish that city? You know what? If I go here, then there are scenarios, there's actually one particular tile run out, where my opponent completes my city and drops a farmer. But I get to connect, you know how? Like this. So the scenario was if my opponent were to get the vanilla city cap on this move, and they were willing to go here, then I can just go here, and they connect here, and I can go here with the other vanilla city cap. Yeah. I am quite happy about this. Oh, this is genius. They noticed that pattern. They noticed how they can connect with the vanilla city cap. Oh, this is amazing. But it doesn't actually save them, because other than the vanilla city cap, the one remaining tile that is available is this tile. And now I'm going to use this here platform that helped them and just go over here. Yes. I mean, I will be getting a couple of fewer points, but then that's okay. And I do end up getting the vanilla city cap regardless. So they have a 5-point move available to them in any way which they please. A very fortunate draw for me at the end to actually get 3 city caps out of 4. They get the 6-pointer and to rub it in. Instead of going here, I'm going to go here. And even finish this city as well. So the field, which was 12 points for a long time, actually ended up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 21 points. And in the end, I'm really controlling this field with only one meeple. An incredibly interesting game with an early block meeple for blue and then trying to set up all these monasteries to come back from an early scoreboard lead. And then it kind of looks like it was behind. Yeah, incredibly interesting. But also just and something important in position assessments. Not only points and meeples matter, but also threats. And even though I was like 7 points behind and a meeple behind, just because I had a 10-point move available to me and a 14-point move available to me, or an 11-point move available, like all these big things, I was kind of the slight favorite to win. Another thing that really helped is this here city. Like when starting this, like it's really, you don't really think that the city is gonna get finished, but with this one tile remaining, it's gonna actually be enough. Yeah, very interesting indeed. This is definitely a construction that I'm very happy with. By the way, also, one of the reasons why I actually could not afford to finish the city at the bottom, if I were to finish the city at the bottom, then suddenly, even if I drop a farmer here, my opponent can do something like this. And drop his own farmer and use this here platform, and then I'm in big trouble. So really I had to wait closer towards the end. Already. Wait, actually I'm trying to figure out, am I still losing if my opponent gets a city cap? Because if my opponent gets a city cap... No, I'm not losing. Okay, so if opponent gets a city cap, they're scoring 7 instead of 6 on their last move. They're just going here. So they're getting 1 extra. But then I can go here with that last crossroads, and I get to score 6 instead of what I score here. I scored 7 for completing the city, and then I scored 3 for this farmer, and then this farmer compensated that one. So I get to score 6 instead of 10. So that's -4. Yeah, so then I still win by 2. Okay, that was... Ooh. Nikolai saying that city on the top was very unexpected, how it suddenly got to 1 tile before it's finished. Yeah, these outside chances sometimes happen, but really like all I needed to do is just draw that road Dorito tile. Ideal, of course, I want to draw the city cap before drawing the road Dorito tile. Okay. So enough Carcassonne for the moment. Now if somebody wants to drop me a challenge, I'm still taking them. But if not, I'd probably just wrap this up with a quick AZUL game. Against a random opponent, perhaps. Let's go for this. Although they've been waiting for 18 minutes, so they might not be there. Okay, I'm gonna make another AZUL table in the meantime. Whew. Isn't that fun? Okay, admitted joins us. Just none other than the champion of the World Series of Board Gaming in the AZUL event of 2024. But I'm the starting player. And I get the 3 blues pretty much no-brainer. Well, I leave for our viewers to figure out what these abbreviations mean. It's pretty straightforward. Okay. Well, do I take the gold for row 2? Certainly looks like a viable option. I could also take black for row 4. I could also actually take red for row 5, which is not that crazy. We're going to start with a natural move. Yeah, that was my idea, that I could actually end up getting myself the blues. Sorry, the whites. But now I wonder, does it make sense ever to pivot the column? Knowing that my opponent has already gotten the blacks, and I'm going to have 0 blacks at the end of round 1. Well, I definitely need to take the whites. They're just too important. Where do they go? I mean, leaving emptiness in my bottom row is actually also not such a bad idea. And there's still 17 blacks to come. But I also do like the idea of getting myself a bit more tiles in my bottom row, because I'm also guaranteeing myself at least 1 blue. Oh, okay, I think I can force the issue here. I don't think our friend admitted wants to lose his second row, does he? Because if you want to try a position with a row 2 sacrifice, you're on. But the reason why I took 2 reds now is to leave fewer options for admitted's row 2. And now the only way how he can guarantee himself row 2 is by by doing this. But then this forces the issue for us. And I end up with a setup with 10 productively placed tiles. And my opponent's going to have a bit fewer. And this is also my way of making sure that I don't have to use a lot of black tiles. The problem with that is that there are actually still a lot of black tiles, and so I might end up with basically I might end up with blacks on my floor. I guess still rows 1, 2, 3 are an option, but it is just a fantastic tile run out. Absolutely fantastic. Just an abundance of blue, and we both need blue. And maybe my opponent needs blue a bit more than I do, but there's just enough for everybody. There are 8 blues. I need 4, and my opponent needs 4. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think... Oh, what am I gonna do? Do I just take this one black? Do I take this? I don't know. I kind of want to also start putting all the golds together. The starting player tile is enticing, though. You know what? Let's just try and be a bit more forcing. I think I want to take care of my blues as soon as possible. I even gonna allow my opponents to do this. Not sure if it's worth it. And actually, as my next order of business, I might even think about taking one white as opposed to everything. One white instead of all the blows. Anyway, there are many ways how to play just an absolutely fantastic runout. Yeah, look at this. My opponent's really... do we take the blacks ourselves? No, I don't think we do. Let's try go with this. I do like the idea of my opponent having only one white on their row 2. It is definitely better than them having 2 whites. How about this? Wait. No, not this, not this. Okay, let's try this. No, I think it's bad. What do I need to do? I think it's the one yellow. It's becoming a bit trickier than I intended it to be. What if it's just one? I think it might be one black. Wait, I'm thinking. What's the most efficient way to build this up? Okay, blues here. Yeah, blues here is the way to go. Then it forces my opponent to take 2 reds. Ah. Yeah. Maybe I'm doing this wrong a little bit. I don't know. Did I mess this up? I might have messed this up. Well, I'm not sure if it's really messing things up. It's just maybe that reds were better for me. Yeah, I'm gonna just end up building up a little bit inefficiently. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I'm gonna end up with a black. Fine, yeah. There's also merit to what I did as well. I guess it's a good idea to just take care of the blues early, because there are not a lot of those remaining in the first place. And what I don't like having is having the blacks. Actually, no, it doesn't matter. It's not a problem. We're fine. We're fine. I can get those reds later, yeah. I can get those reds later. We're completely fine. Okay. This is a run out which is interesting, to say the least. And I actually want to start taking care of the whites as early as possible. This is the thing that I care about most. And I want to start with this one white for extra efficiency, and then I can use the whites at the bottom whenever I want. I can also use the whites for row 1. Like, I should be just doing very well in this round. My opponent, unfortunately, has a way to get himself 2 easy blues or blacks for his row 3. For his row 2, rather. And he's probably going to do that, and I'm still not going to fully understand that decision, but I'm going to take it. Yeah, I think also he has to do this. Yes. And now I think I have to do this, because these are just too good. Oh, like that. Okay, okay, I can see that. Then I guess the upside is that my opponent's still suffering without blues. There's not a lot of those remaining. I ended up discarding a little bit, but overall my column is just really, really efficient. And I should be ahead by a few points here. I'm ahead by 1. I'm also getting myself the starting player tile. I do like my position overall. And I will be taking away those whites. It's just a matter of where exactly. Admit it's going to be struggling with blues. Where exactly do I take those whites? I mean, row 4 is an option. Row 3 is an option. I think that row 4 is strongest. Just because it's kind of easy to continue. I guess the one downside is that I don't have a good place to put the gold, but I can just use row 5 for that. Well, I'm not sure if I fully thought this through. Because my idea is that I want to threaten reds on row 3, but I'm not really getting that. I'm not really likely to get reds on row 3. I think my opponent is likely to get reds on row 3, although I do like having that free for me. I also like the fact that it is now very difficult for them to take the starting player tile. And I think that I might need it towards the end. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That my opponent's taking this regardless. And do I just... I think I just... Well, actually, wait a second. Do we ever take the blue for the top? Just to disrupt my opponent's row 2. And then we also keep the option of 5 golds. I think I'm doing this. 5, 10, 16. Wait, am I actually not losing my top? Wait. This is where we need to count tiles a little bit. 16. There's still around 4 blues remaining. Also, I could just take 1 white and make my opponent pay a little bit more. Isn't that interesting? I want to try this. I will lose a bit of points, but my opponent's going to lose more. They're kind of forced to take 1 red. I can take 2 black. They can take 1 white. I can take another white. I don't know. I can also just try and finish my row 3 and forgo my row 2 and try to build another column or something. Because I can threaten column 1 as well. Okay, so my opponent chooses to do this. I guess, well, I'm not sure if I should do this. Maybe I should actually do what's more obvious. No, let me do this. Like this, huh? Oh, so then they are planning to get this 1 point for the gold. I might just as well let them. What's the big deal about that? Yeah, you can take that point. Just go ahead. Then I might force them to have blues everywhere? Or do I want them to have... Well, I'm not sure what I want them to have, but I know what I'm doing. At least I know what I'm doing now. I'm doing this first. And then my plan is to take 1 black. Now, here's the thing. Do we take 1 black for the bottom row? Or do we take 1 red for the 3rd row? So how viable is the threat of a second column? That's something that we're going to ask ourselves. 5, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13. 7 black, and I don't remember how many discarded. You know what? Not a lot of blacks discarded. I feel like there's something to this. I don't remember very big discards in any case. So our opponent has broken his row, but he should be ahead by like a couple of points. It's overall a good position for me. And I was correct about the blacks. I've guaranteed myself another column. Does this mean we're winning? Maybe. Because the problem is, if I get myself the blacks, do I get myself anything else? Maybe. I also feel like I need to get the golds first, perhaps? For my row 1. Yeah, and then if my opponent starts taking away blacks from me, I can force the issue. Let me think about this. So I take the gold. My opponent takes one black. I take another black. My opponent takes more black. I take some... maybe. I do feel like I need to take the gold pretty urgently, because if I don't, my opponents can threaten row 4. On the other hand, if I'm not careful about blacks, my opponents can actually threaten complete color, even theoretically. Okay, there's several ways to win this, and this is definitely one of them. Because it's tricky for my opponent to deal with all of these blacks. And I still have whites which I can use. But so does my opponent. Maybe that wasn't more precise. Maybe just going for the column was better. I don't know. But also here's the thing that I was calculating, right? If my opponent goes for the blacks, then they are going to clog up their row 4 probably, and then they can discard 3 yellows. The more I think about this, the more I think that I just could have done this better. I don't know. So option 1, we take black, our opponent takes black, we take white, our opponent kind of has to take white, and then they discard a bit more than we do, right? Option 2, we'll leave the black alone for a second. Wait, what if I just don't bother with row 1? Okay, so we take the black, our opponent takes the black, we take the white, we do the standard tactic. They kind of have to, they're forced to discard. They're forced to discard a lot. Maybe that is our plan, that they're forced to discard a lot. More than us. Yeah, fine. Let's go for this. Actually, no, I guess it's like a bit more precise to do this. Yeah, I guess there was probably a more clean way to win. Now we're gonna do this. We're actually not gonna finish our row 2. Which is so interesting. But they are going to discard 3 gold. And that should be enough. Because at the moment, as it stands, I'm down -4. Well, actually, I'm up +5. And they're not getting 5. They're getting less than 5. So first of all, they absolutely forced to take the whites. It's a question of where. Now this makes 0 sense. Why would I take blues instead of whites when I can take whites myself? I really... Wait, did I mess this up? Oh man, I think I messed this up. Oh yeah, of course I had to place... Oh no. I had to place the whites in the row 1. Why was it so slow? Yeah, now of course I have to do this. But then I still should be slightly ahead, yeah. Well, a bit of a sloppy endgame for me. Definitely missing a couple of points here and there. But still +7 in the end, and some good runouts. Also, I think some sound strategical decisions as well. I really like that we managed to pivot earlier to this here column to just get this here start. That definitely helped, but then several times where the runout was just fantastic for us. Also, crucial decision to have gotten ourselves this one black at the end. It made sure that I was able to threaten that column, kind of forcing everything in the center. Alrighty. So nice to be able to win once in a while at the very least. Hopefully you got something out of this, and it has been a rather long stream. There is not going to be a stream next week. I will be trying to put out pieces of content here and there regular, but like July and early August might be less active months than usual. Mid-August is when we're planning to pick this back up. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.